Airline controversy. The nation's third largest air carrier, American Airlines, rolling out a new campaign, but it's upsetting consumers who don't like to be told what to do. Their new ad features ways to be the perfect passenger. Watch this. Crisis communications and messaging expert Michael Maslansky is joining me now. Michael, you have looked at this ad. It features examples of how to be a good passenger, like bring their own noise-canceling headphones on board when a baby's crying. If the passenger walks fast in the airport, packs like they're solving a jigsaw puzzle. You saw this ad. Is there any problem with it?
Well, I think, first of all, we know it's very easy to get outraged today. I think you guys were just talking about the fact that there's no shortage of outrage. And so we can find something in this to be angry at. The first thing that I tell clients is it's not what you say that matters, it's what your audience hears. And it's entirely predictable that a segment of Americans' audience, or the flying public, is going to look at this ad and say, don't tell me what to do, especially when you run an airline that leaves a lot to be desired in a lot of cases. So there are things that are wrong with this, the way that it's set up, the way that it does actually tell people what to do or how to behave in an airline.
One print ad reads that the world's best flyer is, quote, always upbeat. Great flyers make the best of their situation no matter where they're sitting. So it's basically like, shut the hell up if you think your seat's too small.
Yes, we're all going to meditate for a couple minutes before we get on the plane. I think the intent is to start a conversation about making the flying experience better. But what customers are always going to hear in this environment that we operate in is a certain amount of hypocrisy. That if American really wants the flying experience to be better, what are they doing about it? What are they doing to ensure that their flight attendants are treating people the right way? If you search on American Airlines today, the top story is about an actress who complained about being mistreated by a flight attendant. You can't have those two things running at the same time without expecting to get a lot of pushback from, certainly from social media.
Right. The last American flight I was on, I think the flight attendant barked at me, literally, when I asked if they had energy drinks on board the plane. But to Americans' defense, here's the statement that the airline released. Our goal with our campaign, World's Greatest Flyers, is to celebrate our customers. We're hoping that we can create a conversation around flying. This is not an instructional manual. Well, the problem is it kind of reads like an instruction manual.
This goes back to how people hear it. I mean, they may not have intended it as an instruction manual, but a lot of people are taking it that way. And so what we see is if you're trying to put a message out there like this, there is a right way to do it. There is a way that can avoid this backlash, but it's usually done with humor. It's usually done tongue-in-cheek. It's usually done by bringing the company into the conversation as well and articulating what they can do to help solve the problem. In this case, American didn't do any of those things.
I think that's the key point. So if American had said, here's what we're doing, we're actually going to make the seat the size of the average American instead of, it only works for skinny people. Or we're going to give you 2 inches more of legroom or something, but instead they're making it more and more miserable. You can't carry on your bag. The seats are smaller. There's less legroom. We're going to give you less food. It on and on and on and on. And then here's how you're supposed to act. That just doesn't work. It's got to be a two-way street. If they want to be a two-way street, here's what we're giving you.
Yeah, they should just have photos of the flight attendants standing ready with bottles of alcohol just to make the flight bearable.
I kind of feel like their marketing and PR department probably was also dealing with all of the complaints on social media, and they came up with a campaign to educate their flyers. Instead, I think it's really going to turn off their customers. Do you think, Michael, that they might pull this campaign? Do you think it could backfire and they might actually pull back from this type of, strategic marketing?
Well, I think the answer is yes. I mean, this campaign reminds me a lot of what Starbucks tried to do on a much more serious note with Race Together a couple years ago, where they asked baristas to start conversations about race at the counter. They got a lot of backlash. They ended up pulling back. In this case, I think American will probably pivot and start shifting the conversation about world's greatest flyers to being more positive, less instructional for customers. They'll try and do that without pulling the entire campaign, but they're going to have to do something, because even as a frequent American flyer, which I am, I kind of feel like the tone is just off. It doesn't work for me, and I'm sure it doesn't work for the less frequent flyers out there.
It actually evokes how you get treated on the airline, based on my experience, and that's not a good thing. Michael, it's good to see you. Thank you so much for being here, Michael Maslansky.
Thanks for having me.